Don't embarrass yourself, Mike, honestly. You can't beat my son. Just be a man and say, you know what, we've come here to try our hardest.
I'm going to knock that big stiff spark
Go
out.
on, my son.
And there's nothing he can do about it.
Go on, my son.
No matter who he trains with, no matter what he...
John Fury just lost his absolute mind at a press conference and threatened to destroy Arslan Makhmudov in front of everyone. We're talking full explosive meltdown here. The atmosphere in that room shifted so fast you could feel the tension through the screen. 1 second it's your typical boxing promotion with fighters answering questions, and the next second John Fury is on his feet, face red with rage, pointing aggressively at Makhmudov like he's ready to throw hands right there on stage. This wasn't some scripted WWE drama for the cameras. You could see it in his eyes. This was pure, unfiltered anger. The crowd went dead silent because everyone realized they weren't watching promotion anymore. They were watching a man who genuinely wanted to hurt someone. And here's the wild part. This kind of outburst either makes a fight absolutely massive or completely destroys it. There's no middle ground when family members start making real threats.
2040! He can't be beat! He's on this great kingdom of Saudi! He's on Saudi soil! My son cannot be beat! Can you, son? Get up there, my boy! Get up there, my boy! Get up there!
But John Fury wasn't done. Not even close. He kept going, throwing more threats and claiming this whole sport runs on pure testosterone and violence. He's screaming that Tyson Fury will knock Makhmudov out cold before the final bell rings, telling the Russian to keep running his mouth because it's only making things worse for him. Then he drops this line about Tyson being the antidote to everyone in the heavyweight division. The antidote. Like these other fighters are some kind of disease that needs to be cured. John's calling his son the best fighter in the world by a country mile, and acting like this fight is just going to be target practice. Here's what's crazy though. John Fury has been in this game long enough to know that overconfidence kills fighters. So either he genuinely believes Tyson is levels above, or he's trying to psyche out the opposition with these bold predictions. But when you make statements this strong in public, you better be right. Because if Makhmudov catches Tyson with something clean, all this trash talk becomes a highlight reel for the wrong reasons.
This is my game! Testosterone! Tyson, knock him out! Blow the final bell! Let him talk! We've got the antidote to everybody in the world. Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, is the best heavyweight in the world by a country mile. This is the run out now. So you'll see.
Now here's where it gets interesting. Frank Warren, who's been promoting fights for decades, admitted this is actually a tough fight. Think about that for a second. The promoter, whose job is to sell tickets and make his fighter look good, is openly saying this won't be easy. Warren emphasized that Tyson doesn't want easy opponents or those YouTube celebrity matchups that have been polluting boxing lately. According to Warren, Fury specifically requested a serious, dangerous challenge because that's what motivates him. This tells us something crucial about Tyson's mindset right now. He's not coming back for a payday against some washed-up former champion or social media star. He wants to prove he's still elite by facing someone who can actually hurt him. But here's the kicker: Warren's honesty about the difficulty level might be smart business. If Tyson wins impressively against a genuinely dangerous opponent, it sets up massive fights down the line. If he struggles or loses, well, at least they warned everyone it would be tough.
Yeah, it's a tough fight for him, but Tyson, he said he doesn't want to be fighting any YouTubers or anything like that. He wants a proper fight, and that's what he's...
Johnny Nelson dropped some serious analysis that everyone needs to hear. He thinks this is actually a perfect style matchup for Tyson Fury, especially considering the height and reach advantages. Nelson pointed out that Fury's hand speed could be the deciding factor, but then he said something that should worry every Fury fan. The real question is how much Fury's footwork has declined with age. We're talking about a 37-year-old heavyweight here. That's ancient in boxing years. Nelson knows that younger heavyweights are watching every move, studying every step, looking for signs of decline. Because once the vultures smell blood in the water, they all start circling. Fury's entire fighting style depends on movement, angles, and making opponents miss. If his legs aren't what they used to be, if he's a half step slower, if his balance is even slightly off, that changes everything. Makhmudov has 16 first-round knockouts. He only needs one clean shot to end careers. And if Fury can't move like he used to, he's going to be there to be hit more than ever before.
just made for him. It's a perfect fight for him. Got the height, looks the part. He's strong. I think Tyson's hands will be too fast. I think Tyson, his feet, and the thing what I want to see how his feet have deteriorated, because it happens to everybody. So I just want to see what version of Tyson we get. He's out in Thailand training, so he's got to make sure he trains right. No cutting corners at this stage in your life. 37 years old. There's a lot of young lions knocking at the door, watching you. You're in a meal ticket, they're planning for you already. And I think
John Fury made another statement that reveals everything about their strategy. He said the real answer will only come when they step into the ring, because training camp and fight night are completely different animals. Listen to what he's really saying here. Even Tyson's own father isn't 100% certain how this plays out. John admitted that training camps can look perfect, but under those bright lights with thousands of people screaming and millions watching, everything changes. Fighters who look unstoppable in the gym sometimes freeze up when the pressure hits. Others who struggle in training somehow find another gear when it matters most. John's basically admitting they won't know which version of Tyson shows up until the opening bell rings. That's either honest confidence or barely concealed worry. Because if your own family is expressing uncertainty about your performance, what does that tell you about the preparation? John did say Tyson knows exactly what he's doing and isn't a stupid fighter. But that sounds more like he's trying to convince himself than making a bold prediction.
Because you'll only know when you get in that ring, and that's too late. You know, let's just see. Tyson's not a stupid man. He knows where he's at. He feels good in training, but in training is one thing, in the ring under the lights is another. All we can do is wait and see. He's going to do it anyway.
Frank Warren dropped a bombshell about Fury's current condition. He claims Tyson is in magnificent shape, the best Warren has seen him in years, both physically and mentally. But then Warren immediately followed that up with a reality check that should terrify Fury fans. He called this a dangerous fight because Makhmudov has an insane knockout ratio of around 90% with 17 first-round knockouts. Think about those numbers for a second. 9 out of 10 opponents don't hear the final bell. 17 guys got knocked unconscious in the first 3 minutes. Warren knows that all the magnificent shape in the world means nothing if Makhmudov lands one clean power shot. This is the nightmare scenario for any boxer facing someone who can end your career with a single punch. Warren's trying to build up Fury's condition while simultaneously managing expectations about what could happen. Because in heavyweight boxing, especially against big punchers, anything can happen in the blink of an eye. And once you're unconscious, it doesn't matter how good your training camp was.
You know, Tyson's looking in magnificent shape. Best I've seen him in, to be quite honest, for a long time, and more importantly, mentally he's in a good place. And this is a big fight. He's in with a very, very experienced fighter who's a big man, big puncher. I think he's got a 90% knockout ratio. He's knocked out 17 of his opponents in the first round. So you know he can whack, and he's not phased about fighting over here. He fought recently over here and beat Dave Allen. And this is quite a tough.
Carl Frock weighed in with some observations that paint a different picture of Fury's return. He said Tyson looks relaxed after coming back from retirement, staying around 18 stone and maintaining his gym work with twice-daily training sessions. But here's what caught my attention. Frock mentioned that Fury may not look physically impressive from optics alone. That's boxing code for he doesn't look like he's in great shape. When analysts start talking about how someone doesn't look impressive physically, that's usually not a good sign. Sure, Frock said the constant training suggests Fury is serious about competing at the highest level, but there's a difference between training and being in elite fighting condition. Twice daily, gym sessions sound impressive until you realize that elite heavyweights should be doing that anyway. The fact that this is being mentioned as proof of his dedication suggests the bar might be pretty low right now. And staying around 18 stone could be good or bad depending on whether that's muscle or just weight.
Good little fight. Tyson's nice and relaxed. He's coming back. Again, after retiring, he's back out of retirement. We kind of knew it was going to happen. He seems in a good place. He seems quite happy. He's not out of shape. He's in his usual shape, which isn't great shape in terms of physicalities to look at. He's not good on the optics, but you know he's in shape because he's not 28 stone. He's probably looking about 18 and a half stone-ish, and he's in the gym. I don't think he ever really came out of the gym. He said he's been training twice a day.
Lennox Lewis, a former heavyweight champion who knows what it takes, said this is a good fight specifically because the boxing public missed Fury's presence in the sport. Lewis pointed out that Fury's love for boxing is the main reason he came back, and that champions with real fighting spirit rarely stay retired for long. But here's what Lewis is really saying: Fury came back because he missed boxing, not because he has some burning desire to prove he's still the best. There's a difference between loving the sport and being hungry to dominate it. Lewis calling the comeback predictable suggests this was more about Fury's ego and need for attention than any serious championship ambitions. When champions come back because they miss the spotlight rather than because they have unfinished business, that's usually when they get hurt. The sport moves on without you, younger fighters improve, and your skills deteriorate whether you admit it or not. Love for boxing is great, but it doesn't keep your chin from getting cracked by younger, hungrier opponents.
I think it's a good fight, especially the return for Tyson Fury. I think the boxing public definitely missed him. And, you know, like he said, he loves the sport so much. He came back, and you never really know with Tyson Fury, but there's one thing I did know when he retired, that he would.
Spencer Oliver agreed that Fury looks good mentally and physically after training in Thailand, calling him a huge addition to the heavyweight division. But then Oliver asked the question that matters most: whether Fury's footwork and speed are still intact. Age and career mileage affect everyone, even the greatest champions. Training in Thailand sounds exotic and impressive, but it doesn't answer the fundamental question about whether a 37-year-old heavyweight can still move like he did 5 years ago. Oliver's being diplomatic here, but the fact that he's questioning Fury's physical abilities tells you everything. In boxing, when people start asking whether your speed is still intact, it usually means they've already noticed it declining. The heavyweight division didn't stand still while Fury was retired. New faces emerged, existing fighters improved, and the level of competition kept rising. Being a huge addition to the division is nice, but it doesn't guarantee you can still compete with the best. Sometimes great fighters come back and remind everyone why they were champions. Other times, they come back and remind everyone why they retired in the first place.
I think that mentally he's in a good place. Physically, he looked good as well. He's been working well out in Thailand, and I sort of agree with Paulie. I think that he's a massive addition to the heavyweight scene. He has been over the last 10 years, and I think it's good to have him back. You know, we need the characters. Look, are the legs still there?
John Fury made another bold statement about Tyson being in fabulous shape because he worked extremely hard in training, leaving no stone unturned during camp. But here's the interesting part. John said Makhmudov must bring something new because simply being powerful won't be enough against Fury's boxing IQ and experience. This reveals their entire game plan. They're banking on Fury's intelligence and ring generalship to neutralize Makhmudov's power. John's basically admitting that Makhmudov is incredibly powerful, but claiming that Tyson is too smart to get caught. The problem with this strategy is that it assumes Fury's reflexes, footwork, and defensive instincts are still sharp enough to avoid danger for 12 rounds. It also assumes that Makhmudov is just a basic power puncher without any boxing skills of his own. That's a dangerous assumption to make about a top 5 heavyweight contender. John's confidence might be justified, but it might also be the kind of overconfidence that gets fighters knocked out cold. Because in heavyweight boxing, power is always the great equalizer. It doesn't matter how high your boxing IQ is if you can't get out of the way fast enough.
And you can see Tyson's in fabulous shape. We've not left a stone unturned. He's grinded and he worked his ass off. I just think myself, Usyk has to bring something.
Lennox Lewis made another point about Fury still having plenty to offer because of his skill and experience, suggesting there are many opponents he hasn't faced yet. Lewis hinted that Fury needs strong, credible opposition to stay motivated because elite fighters perform best when facing real threats. This is actually a backhanded compliment if you think about it. Lewis is saying Fury can still compete, but only if he's properly motivated by dangerous opponents. That implies Fury's performance level varies dramatically based on his interest in the fight. Champions who need external motivation to perform at their best are usually past their prime. Great fighters bring their A-game regardless of the opposition because their pride and professionalism demand it. When you start hearing that a fighter needs tough opponents to stay motivated, it suggests they might be coasting against lesser competition. The question becomes whether Go is dangerous enough to bring out the best in Fury, or whether Fury's motivation problems have gotten worse during his time away. Because if Fury shows up unmotivated against a puncher like Makhmudov, this fight could end very badly very quickly.
Do you think Tyson still has a lot to give to the heavyweight division?
Yeah, I do think Tyson has a lot to give to the heavyweight because, you know, he's a good boxer, and there's a lot of guys out there that he hasn't boxed, such as the guys due to box. You know, there's a guy, he could box a lot of people out there. But, you know, like he said, you know, who are they? They have to be somebody good for him to box, because he has to have that type of person. He has to have a challenge. If you don't have a challenge in there, it's difficult to step.
Here's where the concerns get real. Liam Go pointed out that Fury has been out of the ring for more than a year, and by fight night, it'll be 15 to 16 months of inactivity. That's a lifetime in boxing, especially for a movement-based heavyweight fighter. Go explained that boxers who rely on footwork and rhythm struggle after long layoffs because timing and reflexes decline without real fight pressure. You can't replicate the intensity and unpredictability of actual combat in the gym. Sparring partners aren't trying to knock your head off. They're not throwing with genuine bad intentions. When Fury steps in there with Makhmudov, it'll be the first time in over a year that someone is genuinely trying to hurt him. That's a massive adjustment. Ring rust is real, and it affects timing, distance judgment, and defensive reactions. Fighters often look great in training but struggle early in fights after long layoffs because the rhythm of actual combat is completely different. And against someone with Makhmudov power, you can't afford to be even slightly off your timing. One mistimed step, one defensive lapse, and the fight could be over before Fury shakes off the rust.
Fury has been out of the ring for well over a year now. By the time he gets back in the ring on April the 11th, he will have been out of the ring for well over a year. You're probably talking close to 15, 16 months. It's a long time, especially for someone who is more of a mover, more a boxer. It's not like a pressure fighter.
Dominic Ingle believes Fury has the boxing intelligence to solve problems if his preparation is proper, pointing to his ability to control distance, switch angles, and frustrate opponents mentally. According to Ingle, heavyweight boxing is often decided by ring IQ rather than brute force alone. This is the classic argument for experienced fighters, that their intelligence and tactical awareness can overcome physical decline. Ingle thinks if Fury enters in peak conditioning, he can dictate pace and break down Makhmudov gradually. But here's the problem with this analysis. It assumes Fury can control the fight from the opening bell. What if Makhmudov comes out aggressive and doesn't allow Fury to establish his rhythm? What if the Russian heavyweight is smarter than people give him credit for? Ingle's strategy requires everything to go according to plan. Fury needs to be in perfect shape, his timing needs to be sharp, and Makhmudov needs to fight exactly the way they expect him to. That's a lot of variables that need to align perfectly. In heavyweight boxing, plans often get disrupted by reality. And when your opponent can knock you out with one punch, you don't get many chances to readjust your strategy.
You know, Tyson's got enough boxing IQ to think, you know, I've got to do this, that and the other with him to beat him. And he probably will do that, and he should do it quite easily if he's prepared.
Now let's hear from the man trying to shock the world. Arslan Makhmudov admitted that Tyson Fury is a legendary figure in boxing, but he's not coming to admire reputations. Makhmudov wants to build his own legacy and prove he belongs at the elite level. This statement shows the mindset of a dangerous challenger, respectful but not intimidated. He's not some starstruck opponent happy to be sharing the ring with a famous name. Makhmudov is viewing this as his opportunity to make history by beating a legend. That's exactly the kind of mentality that leads to upsets. He's not fighting Fury's reputation or past accomplishments. He's fighting the man who shows up on fight night. And if that man is a 37-year-old heavyweight coming off a long layoff, Makhmudov likes his chances. The hunger factor here is massive. Fury has already achieved everything in boxing: multiple heavyweight titles, historic victories, financial security. Makhmudov is still climbing the mountain. He needs this win more than Fury does, and that desperation can be a powerful weapon. When a hungry fighter meets a satisfied champion, the results are often surprising.
Yes, he's a legend, like a big name in boxing, but I come here for make my leg.
During the face-to-face confrontation, Fury sounded confident and aggressive, calling himself a crazy fighter who comes back because that's who he is. He explained that easy fights don't motivate him because they don't provide mental or physical challenges. Fury admitted that hype and pressure mean nothing to him, and he deliberately chooses dangerous opponents to stay focused during training camps. This reveals something crucial about Fury's psychology right now. He's essentially admitting that he needs external motivation to perform at his best. That's not the mindset of a peak performer. Great champions find motivation from within, not from their opponents. Fury's statement suggests he might be struggling with purpose and drive, requiring dangerous fights to manufacture the intensity he once had naturally. He said facing Makhmudov with his knockout power and top ranking is exactly what he wants because it forces him to push harder in preparation. But what happens if his body can't respond to that pushing like it used to? What if the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak? Fury's talking about keeping his fighting instincts alive, which implies they might be dying without constant stimulation. That's a concerning admission from a former champion.
I don't get up for easy fights, bum fights. I don't get hyped. I can't concentrate. They just don't mean anything to me. I could go in there at 35 stone, 500 pounds and beat these guys. So I pick a dangerous opponent who's highly ranked, number 5, WBA. Very dangerous, big puncher.
Frank Warren emphasized how much the heavyweight division has missed this particular fighter because of the excitement and charisma he brings to stadium events. Warren talked about how the promotional value goes beyond fighting ability, with fans drawn to personality as much as performance. This is both Fury's greatest strength and biggest weakness right now. His entertainment value is undeniable. He sells tickets, generates headlines, and creates spectacles. But there's a difference between being entertaining and being an elite fighter. Warren's focus on charisma and showmanship might be revealing that Fury's actual boxing skills aren't what they used to be. When promoters start emphasizing personality over performance, it usually means they're worried about what happens when the talking stops and the fighting starts. The heavyweight division might miss Fury's antics, but his opponents aren't going to be entertained by his press conference jokes. They're going to try to knock his head off, and all the charisma in the world doesn't help when you're getting tagged by a legitimate heavyweight puncher. Warren's comments sound more like he's promoting a celebrity appearance than a serious championship contender.
Yes, without a doubt. The charisma that he brings, and you see another stadium fight, he brings all this and he brings excitement. He's got,
Fury explained exactly why he chose this dangerous matchup, pointing out Makhmudov's devastating statistics: 16 first-round knockouts, 20 total knockouts, ranked number 5 in the world. Fury made it clear he didn't want an easy comeback fight because soft opponents don't motivate him mentally or physically. He openly admitted that easy fights fail to trigger his competitive instincts, so facing a dangerous puncher forces him to stay sharp in training. This is classic Fury psychology, but it's also potentially self-destructive. He's basically saying he needs to put himself in serious danger to care about training properly. That suggests his natural motivation and professionalism have declined significantly. Peak fighters don't need life-threatening opponents to train hard. They train hard because they're professionals who take pride in their craft. Fury's admission that he only gets excited by dangerous opposition reveals that he might be past the point where he can maintain elite conditioning without external threats. His strategy depends on staying mobile and not allowing Makhmudov to land clean shots. But what if his mobility isn't what it used to be? What if 15 months of inactivity and advancing age have slowed him down just enough to make the difference? Against a puncher with Makhmudov's record, there's no margin for error.
15 first-round knockouts, 20 knockouts in his 21 wins, and he's number 5 ranked in the world, so that's why I picked him, because I could have picked some bum, come back after a year, no one would have said a thing, would they? But I picked this fella because he's a dangerous big fucker, and he make me switch on, and I don't get turned on for Dossers bums. So when I got a big old dangerous fella in front of me trying to knock lumps out of me, it's either float or...
This fight between Tyson Fury and Arslan Makhmudov is setting up to be way more than just another heavyweight contest. On one side, you have Fury's experience, ring IQ, and championship pedigree going against a hungry puncher with legitimate knockout power and nothing to lose. If Fury is truly in the shape everyone claims, his movement and boxing intelligence could frustrate Makhmudov and lead to a systematic breakdown.